Good morning. The sun is high in the sky. It's well past sunrise, but it's still early in the morning. And okay, we started a new book of the Bible this morning called Ezekiel, and I had no idea what was about to come my way. It almost reads like the book of Revelation. My mom is actually reading it now, and she was like, "Have you read Ezekiel yet?" And I was like, and I looked at my kind of schedule, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, no, I haven't, but it's coming up next." She was like, "Well, I can't wait to hear what you think about it." And I'm like, "You have me intrigued." Yes, I'm intrigued. Ezekiel starts off like a roller coaster of visions and instructions for prophesying and what to do with these people that have gone astray and God is trying to get to them, and they just insist on going their own way. And you know, we are like that, right? We are so like that. And the more I'm slowing down, like I have felt this sense of searching and longing and trying so hard to be good, to behave properly, meet expectations of others, of God, of the church, of my employers, my coworkers. And that's exhausting, quite frankly. And I got exhausted living down here. And so Ezekiel takes us way up. You know, his imagination and his spirit is open. And I would imagine he is a creative thinker. God was able to use such an open mind and spirit in a really fantastic way through his willingness to be open to vision. Not all of us are like that, and it's okay. I love that the Bible is like, you know, right on the heels of Isaiah and Jeremiah and Lamentations, that this is all like boots on the ground, like kind of practical stuff. Well, Isaiah was a little bit out there with some visions, and prophesying Jesus. But this book is too. It's referring to Ezekiel as son of man. Like, what does that mean? Like, what? And the reason I camped on behavior, well, I deal a lot with behavior. That's sort of my approach to myself and people I work with, because our behavior, we often get it backwards with behavior. We want to, we're looking out there for things to have in order to be a certain way. And we really need to, but our behavior reflects what really is inside, whether we like it or not. And we don't like to see that. And we have the folks of Jerusalem, Israel, and Judah that are all behaving. You know, they're searching, they're trying, their hearts, you know, their intentions are probably good. They're trying to satisfy something, a longing, but they're looking outside for it to be filled outside through idols, idol worship, commerce. They're acquiring money, power, prestige. And we do the same thing. Like then we get the thing, and then that desire is not quenched, and we're like, oh. So then we go like for the next thing. It's this unquenchable thirst that we have when we are only human and when we are just living in our physical world. But we've got this other part of us that if we allow it to be open and allow it to see beyond just the physical self, there is a knowing. That's why we are called to have faith and believe in the unseen. And that is, that's a really kind of strange thing for a lot of us. And we have a hard time with it, and we try, and we even pray, and we have designated devotion time in the morning. We go to church, but then we just go about our human lives. We don't know how to fully integrate this into our behavior. And what I am slowly learning, and God is teaching me, is trying to actually do the reverse. We have to be before we have the thing in order to have the thing. We have to sort of envision that it's possible. That's what a desire is. It's actually our own vision and our own prophecy to know that we can be that way. But we try to do it in a way, and this is totally natural and human, we try to do it by going outside to satisfy that desire or need versus doing the inside work so that it just comes out naturally. And that's really hard stuff for people to grasp and understand until you actually do it. We are human beings, but our beingness reflects what we repeatedly do, and what we do reflects what we believe. Like, it is, it's a very interrelated thing. And so a lot of us have these conflicting ways of thinking or wanting and desiring that don't jive with how we are being. And we kind of try to force it and willpower it, which does work to an extent. But unless we're also doing the internal work of changing and getting it all lined up, it usually just ends up in exhaustion, frustration, like, I can't do it. And so we've really got to reverse the cycle. We've got to go inside and let our spirit talk to spirit and get our desires met intrinsically and be driven intrinsically. Even in Ezekiel, he's actually a pretty good example of this. Like, he has such strong visions that it is like seared into who he is, and he knows what he's got to do and how he needs to behave to carry out the calling. And there's no need for trying to go outside to an idol, like what the people are doing that he's coming to prophesy to. And so how can we take that as a lesson in our own worlds and how we are getting our own visions from spirit on how to behave and how to make some changes in our lives? And we really got to take time and envision it and feel it and almost embody it before we go out and do it. We've got to be doing it all together. And a lot of times we want it so bad that the behavior will just come naturally. And that's not often how it works. We've got to believe it, then we've got to step out in faith with behavior that feels foreign, weird, like Ezekiel was looked at as totally weird. Like, what? You're seeing cherubim and wings and having these, visions from God. I'm sure he seemed like a real weirdo. And even before he goes out, God is reassuring him. People are gonna think you're weird, but you've got such a strong vision from me, a strong command, a commission, that you're going to be okay. You're going to be able to stand up in the face of that. And we just already got done, but Ezekiel is really doing this visioning work and letting it work in him and searing it into his being so much that his behavior and his vision and his relationship with God and his calling is just, it's unstoppable. Like, he is on a mission. He is on a co-mission with God. And a lot of us try to skip that process. We try to just will the behavior without doing the internal work and really searing and spending time with however God is speaking to us. It's not all fantastic visions. That's how God and Ezekiel talk. But that doesn't mean that God's not talking to you in a way that is also very similar, and you're just maybe not trusting it. And you're going, or maybe you're looking at the outside world going, yeah, that's so-and-so. And for example, this is going to be a weird example, but I am wearing like really wild pants today. Look, even my beliefs come out in my description. And a bright colored shirt. And I have built up such an image of myself as a human that I'm like, that's not me. I don't wear things like that. They are just clothes. Like what is it about me that says I can only wear certain types of clothes? You know, this builds up over time, and these are personas that express themselves in behavior. And even people that know me are like, wow, that's an interesting outfit. Like, that's not very Felicia-like. Well, we can change. We are not like set in stone. And that often is part of the spiritual journey and spiritual growth that blocks. We're like, I don't know, this seems kind of weird. That we're all of a sudden, here I was doing this sort of only human life and only living by human standards and doing all the things. And then we want to believe, but there's part of us that just blocks it. And we don't fully integrate it into who we are and our lives and our behavior. We act one way at church. Those church people know us a certain way. We might act another way at home. And boy, we can't let the church people know that we do that at home. What would they think of us? And part of what Ezekiel does, and even with God's visions, he takes him behind a secret wall into a secret room. And he says, they think I don't know what they're doing and what's going on here. They're acting this way out here, trying to make themselves look good, the religious leaders, but yet behind closed doors. And they think I don't know and I don't see. He knows it all. And here we are trying to put on these suits of behavior depending on where we are and where we go. And then we're feeling all, confused inside because it's not lining up. I am really going through this myself because I, understood myself as a young person. I built up this persona of you have a high metabolism, you can eat whatever you want, you're an athlete, this is what athletes do. And then now, as a 50-year-old, I've got to let go. That was like 30 years ago. And I have been through seasons of being a mom of young kids, corporate, like I've done all of the things. And I was totally living in my humanness and doing very normal human things, getting overwhelmed by trying to behave and meet all the different expectations out there, that I turned to food and some other behaviors that then translated into gaining some weight. That's just the reality of it. I'm not a bad person. It doesn't make me a good, but I've got to do all this internal work to get back in alignment and believe who I really am. And what we see in the mirror doesn't always reflect that. We are not, like, this is just a vehicle we are traveling in. And it has nothing to do. So I have to internalize and really envision and believe that it's possible to be the way that I'm seeing myself, like it already exists. Like it's a vision, it's there. And now I've just got to make my behavior line up with the person that is that in the future. It already exists. There's a vision. I hope this is making sense. And we can't have what we're not willing to be. And what we do reflects what we really believe. So if you're having a disconnect in your life and you're trying to find the solution out there, but you don't really believe it in here, it's never going to satisfy and work. Just like I've done the work and I've learned to be at home wherever I am. Sorry, there's cars going by. I had to stop searching and let go of trying to find the perfect home out there. Like, this is a lot of work and it is kind of complicated. Sometimes you can't get it until you get it, until you do it. That's true with a lot of things. And so when we read Ezekiel with all these wild visions, and even him being referred to as the Son of Man, that is our higher self. Like, he's awake to the fullness of what it means to be human and created by God, and this higher calling and purpose, and living from a spiritual place, a spiritual being having a human experience, and being so dialed in with God that there's no separation. Ezekiel is who Ezekiel is wherever Ezekiel goes, and nobody's getting different versions of him because his behavior reflects what he believes, even internally and within himself, as somebody so connected to his creator that he is just an open vessel, able to have these amazing visions and callings, which is really inspiring to me. So, and not that I expect, because my brain does not work that way, but I know, and each of us knows, and according to how he has created us, how he speaks to us. If we become open and we believe, we really believe, then you will start hearing from him. And a lot of people want it in reverse. Like, give me all the belief first, and then I'll do all the things. And we've got to do to be. And we've got to be to have what it is we're looking for. But often we try to do it in reverse. Like, have all the things, and then I'll feel satisfied and be satisfied. But that is not our true nature. And it's not the way it works. It's an inside-out job. All right. This is kind of heady stuff today. But something to think about. We've got some time in Ezekiel, so maybe we'll just continue to unpack it. And, maybe I'll pick a different spot tomorrow, but that's okay. And maybe I'll get back a little bit earlier and on schedule as I'm catching up on sleep. So, rise and shine. Have a great day. And let me know if you've read the book of Ezekiel and what your take on it is and how God is speaking to you through that. All right. Bye.